Hello, everybody. Peter, KJ5AJB here on for Ham Radio Crib Notes. So we're going to give another update today on my Teletron clock. You can see there behind me. There were a few questions I had from viewers on it, and we'll go over a little bit of that in the book, in the manual here. I went ahead and downloaded the manual because trying to read this little guy here is almost impossible, even with your glasses on. So I'll have it up on the screen for a bit of that. And then we're going to go over some stats on the channel too, and then some news in the radio world. And so just hang on in there and let's get going. All right, so first up we had, from my last video on my little Teletron clock setup that was gifted to me for my retirement. Actually, I'm on my third week of retirement here. So, and they had questions about some of the settings. One of them was, did it have 24-hour mode? And I think when you initially turn it on, it defaults to that. But I'm going to show you the manual real quick, some of the highlights. I think there could be some improvements to this thing to where they could have a phone app to make it easier to set up. Otherwise, you have to download, they have like a rinky-dink Windows configuration file in order to configure the Wi-Fi on it, which kind of limits me because I'm mainly a Mac user. And so I have not been able to configure the Wi-Fi on it yet. So we shall see if I figure out a way to do that later on. But anyways, so let me switch to the manual here real quick and I'll highlight some of the things in there. All right. This is the Teletron manual here, PDF that I've downloaded. And like I said before, if you're trying to read this little guy, it's impossible. So I strongly suggest you do that. So it's faster, it's easier to just use page up, page down on this. Setting your time, we went through that before. You double click the time and use the style and time to adjust, and then you hit the M to do the month and the year stuff, and then you hit the alarm button to save it. Checking the date, you press the time so you can view the date, then you press the alarm to get out of the date field. Auto time sync, like I said before, you have to have it connected to Wi-Fi in order to do that, and you need their software to set the Wi-Fi up, which is Windows only, and it only supports 2.5 gig. So that'll, some of you, that may limit you. Went through that. You can do alarms. I don't use it for an alarm clock. I just use it as a nifty display clock in the ham shack here. It's got snooze. You can select clock faces. There's some of them already built in. I guess you can put some of your own in there if you want to, which requires their software also. Album mode, you can make it cycle through your different pictures if you want. All right, system settings is another one we're concerned with, which someone asked about, because that's where you set the 24-hour time, which is right here on this guy here. You set your volumes, lighting, system setting, firmware version you can view, and your Wi-Fi status. This here shows you the screensaver mode. Also, you can do that and it'll do all your different pictures and stuff cycling through. To connect it to your PC, it shows it here in the very end of the manual, where you have to download their application to do it, and it installs a driver to use it. It's probably just a USB driver for whatever chipset they have in the unit, and then their app for configuring the different things in it. So I have not been able to configure mine for Wi-Fi yet because I do not have a Windows computer. So I strongly think they should create a phone app of some type to make it a little easier for folks to do nowadays, you know. and it tells you using the software and how to get it, and it tells you to scan the QR code to get it, but it's QR code is not in the PDF, but it is in the back of the little book. So you can use your phone, I guess, to scan that, which I don't see what good that does you, because you need to download it on your PC. So there we go with that. So I hope that helps some of you out on the clock usage. And next we'll move on to oh yeah, I wanted to go over the status of the site for the ham radio crib notes, how we're doing there too while we're at it. Switch to Safari here in my view. And I need to get Safari up over here too so I can see what I'm looking at. All right, we got 386 viewers, and that's great. I'm quite surprised on that, and I appreciate all your support for that. Just want to thank you all for that, and I'm glad the Lord's been able to lead me in doing this, and I'm hoping I'm bringing you quite a bit of useful information and stuff. But you can see on my stats here, we've had like 1.5 thousand views in the last 28 days. My watch time hours is 86.1. Subscribers, I've got 34, which is 13 more than usual. My hours are up to 16.1 more than usual. In my last 48 hours, it shows me over here I got 106 views. So that tells me there's a lot of people watching, but there's still more out there that can subscribe. But I'm not going to pick on you for that. It doesn't hurt you to subscribe. If you decide you don't want it, you can always unsubscribe later. But let me get my little signs out so you guys don't forget to like. Don't forget to share. And subscribe. I got to make sure it's facing the camera. There we go. So it's the status of that right now. So I want to go over some news here lately in the ham radio stuff. So I'll switch back to my main screen here, because I keep notes on this over here for news and stuff. Move it over so I can see it a little better. Let's see, other things I'm going to work on. Oh yeah, my collapsible flagpole that I use for my antenna mast, I backed into it with the lawnmower and I dinked it up. So I purchased a new one, and I'm going to be installing that. So I'll probably do a video on that also, and put that up so you guys can see that, how I configured it. I think I've showed pictures of it before, how I have it assembled, but you get to watch me replace the thing now. The other things in the news here lately is the floods. Lots of floods. We had them on the East Coast, and now we've got them in Texas and New Mexico. And I think the tropical moisture is just moving up across the U.S. there, and everybody's getting lots of rain. But we've had, the amateur radio people have been supporting greatly out there. So in the Texas area right now, we got radio operators serving in the National Association of Amateur Radios, Amateur Radio Emergency Services, ARES, as y'all should be familiar with that, have also been actively involved in supporting emergency reliefs. According to ARRL, the demands and assignments have undergone fluctuations, yet ARES volunteers have responded decisively to meet the needs of their communities. The situation remains highly dynamic, subject to rapid changes, stated ARL South Texas Section District 7 Emergency Coordinator Terry Jones, K5LGV. That's a ARRL press release, so y'all know that. They've collaborated with the American Red Cross, establishing a reunification shelter in response to the flooding. 10 hams were designated to participate in search and rescue operations. Numerous health and welfare messages were transmitted by the ham radio operators, providing a crucial link when telephone lines were overwhelmed. A significant portion of this situation is attributed to circuit overload, which hinders individuals from directly contacting their family members in the affected area. Okay, and that was expressed by Kevin McCoy, KF5FUZ, in this release from ARL. Throughout the flooding event and subsequent search and rescue missions, ARES members have been deployed to various counties, including Kerr and Kendall counties. So I'm sure that the same thing's probably occurring up there in New Mexico. I haven't seen much more information on how hard they were hit yet. Other events we've had, the field day. How many of you participated in the field day? And let me know down in the comments there how you liked it and if you had a good time or not. I did not. I had other things going on at the time during that. So the news on that is thousands of hams have a blast celebrating the successful 2025 ARRL Field Day. It's the biggest amateur radio event and one of the most popular, as shown by all the social media posts. There was a ton of activity, 1,536 sites in the ARRL Field Day site locator, and that doesn't include home stations, portable operations, and other participants. Also, astronaut Johnny Kim, KJ5HKP, was even on the International Space Station. Social media and YouTube were full of clips of hams talking to him. James Walker, KC1UYZ, shared a video of his contact with Kim on Instagram and other platforms. KC1UYZ got a welcome to the International Space Station, said Kim. After a quick chat, Walker was so excited he couldn't stop whooping. He was so thrilled to have talked to the astronaut in space. So imagine if you do a search on that on YouTube and stuff, you can probably pull that up and get a little view of that. Then some sad news here. We've got a POTR activator. He was electrocuted in North Carolina, and this was where safety really comes in. You got to pay attention to where you're setting up your sites and stuff and stay away from electrical lines. But I'll give you the story on that. So it was scene of a tragedy in North Carolina in which a well-known parks on the air activator died while being electrocuted. We have more details from Jim Davis, W2JKD. Trip Owens, N4NTO, a well-regarded PTO activator, died on Friday, July 4th, when, according to investigators, his antenna mast made contact with an overhead power line at the Chicora Civil War Cemetery near the Averasboro Battlefield Historic Site, US-11375. According to several local news reports, emergency crews were called to the scene after Tripp was found unconscious in the parking lot. One news report said that fire crews found him and his foot touching the mast beneath the power lines. Power company crews turned off the power to give the responders access, and Tripp was pronounced dead at the scene. A report on the QRPeer.com website relayed information that Dave, W4JL, who said Tripp had been spotted on the reverse beacon network between 12:02 and 12:13 Universal Time that morning, but noted on the POTUS spots page that he was going QRT. QRPers Thomas Witherspoon, K4SWL, added, "This is a heartbreaking news for those of us on Parks on the Air and the WWFF communities. Tripp was a well-known and well-loved North Carolina POTO operator, a dedicated hunter and activator whose call sign appears in my logs and many times over the years." So his Tripp's death was ruled accidental. Within hours of the news, the ham radio community offered their condolences to his family on social media and shared memories of a man that they praised for his spirit and mentorship. So that's he was 57 years old. That's some sad news there. So again, we need to pay attention to our surroundings, folks. Another headline here we got is the Ham Shack hotline. That's a VoIP telecom service that has been in the works since about 2018. It will be discontinued effective the 29th of August, and any of the leftover cash and stuff will be donated to charities that support military veterans. Let's see, we got Yoda campers launch their farthest balloon trip. 32 campers traveled from all over the world to Thornton, Colorado in June to attend the annual America's Wide Camp for Amateur Radio Operators aged 15 to 25, called Youth on the Air. John McElroy, KM4ZIA, has been a leader of the Yoda balloon launch team since he was 14 years old. And let's see, in 2022, Newsline shared Jack's stories and his personal balloons becoming the closest to any amateur radio balloon has been to the South Pole. At this year's Yoda Camp, the youth team, in cooperation with Edge of Space Sciences, launched a high-altitude balloon tracked by APRS and brought back video from near space after reaching a height of 96,600 feet. And then thunderstorms prevented the launch of 2 Pico balloons scheduled for that afternoon. So that's a pretty good one there. And there's another FCC crackdown on somebody. New York City property owner gets a pirate letter from the FCC. In New York City, with the FCC considers one of the most active locations for unlicensed radio activity, another broadcaster has been charged with radio piracy. Kent Peterson, KC0DGY, has the details. Kent responded with the Federal Communications Commission has sent a letter to a property owner in New York borough of the Bronx charging them with permitting unlicensed broadcasting from that location. The FCC cited complaints about a broadcast on 89.3 FM coming from an apartment above the ground floor retail establishments in June and November of 2024, and again this past January. The letter was sent under the Pirate Act of 2020, which strengthened the FCC's enforcement authority and raised possible penalties against pirate broadcasters. The property owners are required to respond to the agency within 10 days. So under that Pirate Act, from the information I've gathered here, the FCC can issue a maximum fine of $2.5 million if the broadcast continues after the response period is passed. So let's see here. Here's some other cool news. There's a Brazilian special event that has celebrated a 105-year-old person, radio operator. Grandma Alda, a Brazilian radio operator who's still rocking the word young at an incredible 105 years old. Grandma Kent, VK4BB, shares the story of her special on-the-air celebration. The event, with the call sign PP105ASN, was on the air for 11 days in June. The YL being honored has been on the air for a whopping 49 years. And she's been around for a whopping 105 years. Her name is Alda Schlim Niemeyer, but everyone knows her as Grandma Alda. I hope I pronounced that right. So to celebrate her 105th birthday last spring, her fellow members at the Blumenau Amateur Radio Club put together a special celebration. They used SSB, FT8 on HF, as well as 2-meter FM simplex. The club's president, Mario Cerqueira, PP5BSD, told Newsline that they had a total of 1,200 QSOs that they all acknowledge. So that's pretty wild. And we have a double centenary for amateurs in Japan. So the World Amateur Radio in Japan is turning 100 years old next year, and they're ready to show us what they've got. Jim Meechan, ZL2BHF, a ham radio enthusiast, shares some exciting plans for that special milestone. So here's the deal. Japanese operators are celebrating two big anniversaries at once, both 100 years old. They're marking the birth of the Japan Amateur Radio League in June 1926. Back then, radio research was all about innovation and experimentation without licenses. But then in September of the next year, the government gave the first call sign, JXAX, to the first radio, telegraph, and telephone station. From there, ham radio grew like crazy. Just before World War II, there were over 300 such stations in Japan. Now, to celebrate these two pivotal moments in history, Japanese hams are planning a 16-month celebration, the same time period between events 100 years ago. They've got awards, ceremonies, and special event stations, contests, and even an anniversary book in the works. So also last year, Japan made history again when they put their first amateur radio station, JS1YMG, on the moon. That's pretty wild. I didn't know that either. And then we got some DX news. Exciting news from the world of DX. Nicholas, the talented F5 TGR, will be gracing us with his presence from Iceland, broadcasting as TF/F5 TGR on July 26th to August 9th. He'll be on the airwaves on various frequencies, including 40, 30, 20, 15, 12, and 10 meters. He'll be using CW, SSB, and FT8 mood, so don't miss out on that opportunity to catch him on that. So you could get a DX from Iceland that way. And it looks like there's going to be a couple others on there too. So anyways, that does it for the notes and stuff. I don't think I have much else after that. And I got you updated and all that. So hope you guys enjoyed all this information, and hope you enjoyed the update on the clock information that some people had issues about. And I'll put together a video on my antenna pole replacement. I bought a new one. I get them from Harbor Freight. They're about $100. If you can catch them on sale, I think last time I got mine on sale, it was like $75. So, but you just have to pay attention to when they have them. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. Don't forget to share with your friends. Leave us a like and subscribe. I keep forget how to twiddle them things up there like that. But anyways, so thank you again, and 73s. We'll catch you next time.